Hey y'all, my name's Mare. Welcome back to my channel. I know it has been a minute and I feel like I've started every single video on this channel with that. But I haven't been feeling like myself lately, and I feel like a big part of that is because I haven't been continuously making book content. So I'm really going to try to do that more because I miss talking about books. I miss reading. I haven't been able to read as much, and it's honestly taken a lot of joy out of my life, the fact that I haven't been able to do that. So I am just kind of feeling like talking about the books that I've been reading lately. This video is going to be bad as always. Never expect quality content here. I don't remember a lot of these books that I've read because it's been a long time since I've done a recent reads video. Also, we're doing a recent reads video if that wasn't clear. I'm going to talk to you about all the books that I've been reading the last few months. I don't even remember when my last recent reads video was. I think it was maybe 3 months ago. It's been a hot minute. Yes, 3 months ago, which is very, very, very long ago. Let's see if I can somehow pull synopsises for all the books that I've been reading. I don't know how many books that I've read, but I'll put it in the thumbnail title somewhere so that you know and I know. I've definitely been reading sometimes 2 books a month, sometimes 10 books a month. Let's just get into it. Y'all don't care about all that. So the first book that I have to catch up on is They'll Never Catch Us by Jessica Goodman. And I did talk about this in one of my videos on my channel. I think it was a reading vlog where I kind of caught you up to speed with what I had been recently reading. So I have mentioned this. You know it exists. You know I've read it. I ended up giving this one a 3.5 star rating, I believe. It was about this girl who got murdered at a boarding school. No, some sort of school. She got murdered and it was connected to her cross-country team. There was some murder in the past kind of on the loose, and they were wondering if it was connected to that serial killer from the past. I don't remember much about this book. I remember enjoying it. I remember flying through it, but beyond that, don't have much recollection of that book. So I'm gonna move on to the next book, which is A Dragonbird and the Fern. I've also talked about this one on my channel, and I actually really love this book. This was one that I gave 5 stars. I freaking loved this when I read it. It was instantly a new favorite for me. It follows a girl who is a princess. I don't remember what it follows actually. What does it follow? She is a princess, that is correct. And she has a learning disability where she's not able to process information as her fellow peers do. And her sister is actually killed. She was betrothed to a king, and so now she has to actually get married to this king, but she was not preparing her entire life to be married to this king, so there's this language barrier between them that her sister was actually like studying the language for. That was a very long-winded explanation, but there's ghost, there's love, there's a translation barrier. I thought it was really great and I loved it. So if you're looking for a good YA fantasy standalone moment, this is the moment. Another book that I have talked about with y'all is Small Favors by Erin Craig, and this is another one that I don't remember much about, but I really loved it in the moment. I gave it 5 stars. I love Erin Craig's writing style. She also wrote House of Salt and Sorrows, which was one of my favorite books of last year. So Erin Craig, in my eyes, can just do no wrong. I think her writing is absolutely stunning, and if you like atmospheric reads, which is definitely what Small Favors is, then I would go into her books, but her plots aren't very driven or her characters aren't very elaborate. Like, it's more so about the atmosphere and the creepiness factor. So this was about a small town mystery, and it was just it was really great, and this book cover is beautiful. I also read The Endless Skies. Again, this is really terrible content because I don't remember a lot of these books, but this one I remember absolutely not liking. I think I gave it a 2 star, and that was being generous. Let me look at my notes for this book. The Endless Skies follows warrior-elect Rowan, who is trained to become a warrior her entire life. When Rowan is finally able to become the warrior she's always dreamed to be, tragedy strikes her kingdom. Children are mysteriously falling ill, and warriors must search for the cure. Okay, it's coming back to me now. I think I didn't like this because it was just weird. Like, there was multiple perspectives that felt very oddly chosen, and I didn't think that they flowed well together. I also felt like the synopsis was very misleading. Like, the synopsis I just told you was what I gathered from reading the book itself, but it was not what it was like pitched as originally. Like, I feel like the pitch that I had read made me a lot more excited to read this book, and just didn't follow through on that. Just not great. Not great. Another book that I read, because we're talking about books that I've read here, is The Dead in the Dark by Courtney Gould, and this one is kind of in the same vein as Small Favors to me. Like, I feel like they read very similarly in the fact that it was about a small town mystery and it had like this creepy paranormal factor to it. So if you liked one of those books, I would definitely try the other one. This one follows a girl named Logan who moves to a town called Snakebite with her Ghostbuster dads, and it was very interesting. I did like it. I thought it had a creepiness factor to it, but overall I just think it wasn't very memorable to me. I thought it was a really great debut. I loved Courtney Gould's writing style. She did a fantastic job with that. I think I just wasn't very overwhelmed by the book. Like, the book kind of underwhelmed me, and I didn't really feel attachment to the characters and their actions. Like, the plot itself was interesting and the writing style was pretty, but I feel like altogether the pieces weren't working for me. It wasn't like a cohesive machine. What's the word I'm looking for? Well-oiled. It wasn't a well-oiled machine, and that's why I didn't love it, but I did really like it, and I do recommend it if you're looking for like a little small town mystery. The next book that I read was The Heart Principle by Helen Hoang, and this one follows a girl named Stella. Is her name Stella? No, her name is not Stella. I'm talking about The Kiss Quotient. This book in particular is really hard for me to get into because, oddly enough, a lot of what happens in this book mirrored something that had just happened in my life, and so reading this book was honestly kind of traumatizing, and I didn't want to write it, and I didn't really want to continue reading it even though I was enjoying it. So I gave this book, I think, like a 3.5-star rating, and I really can't tell you if that would have been my experience if I had read this book like 6 months prior. I had just like had a lot of things happen in my family that mirrored this book very, very specifically, like to the points where it was uncanny. I was like, this is freaking me out, and like I can't handle this in this moment. So yeah, take my opinion of this book with a grain of salt. I feel like it was tainted by that, but I really couldn't help that, you know? This one follows Anna and Kwan's love story, and I did really like them as characters. I liked their love story, and I could tell that they really cared for each other. I think my biggest thing was, one, it paralleled my life in a very bizarre way, and I did not like that. I was not here for it, because if you've read this book, you know it's very sad, and a lot of sad things happen to it, so I was trying to avoid this at all costs. And I also just didn't like how rushed it felt. I feel like Kwan and Anna got together really quickly, and in my romances I like a little bit more of a slow burn. Another book that I read, Survive the Night by Riley Sager. This one I also struggled to form my thoughts on. I feel like this whole video is just a long-winded thing of me saying I don't remember the synopsis, I don't really remember caring for it, which is really sad. I feel like a lot of my reading lately has been very chaotic, spur of the moment, and a lot of the books that I've been reading I think I'm gonna like, I actually don't like, and even if I like them, they're just like not sticking out of my memory. Can you tell that I'm busy? Can you tell that I'm going through it? Life has been hard lately. That's a side tangent, but I just like, I feel like I haven't been getting joy from reading like I used to, and I feel like I've been getting joy from the book community like I used to, so I really want to try and do that. But I just wanted to apologize if this video is very chaotic and bad and poor like all my other videos, but like especially in this video it's very bad because I'm just a freaking mess right now in my life, and my reading has also been a freaking mess, so I deeply apologize. I profusely apologize to you. Anyways, Survive the Night. It's about a girl named Charlie who goes on a road trip with this mysterious man who she thinks might be a serial killer in her town. So why did she get in the car with him? I really couldn't tell you, but I thought that this book was actually very surprising. The plot twist in here I could not guess for the life of me, and it genuinely did have me shocked. I think it was just a little bit repetitive at some parts because, I mean, it takes place in the course of a single night. You're trying to survive the single night. I just feel like Charlie was a bit of a dummy. I would not have gotten in a car with a man that I thought was a serial killer, and I certainly wouldn't have done all the things that she did in this book, so it was kind of hard to suspend my disbelief at some parts, but I thought that the tension was really good. Riley Sager does a great job of describing it, and it just genuinely makes you scared for the characters. So I do still really love Riley Sager's works. This was one of my least favorites of his so far. The Last Time I Lied and Home Before Dark definitely are superior in my opinion, but I still did prefer this one to Lock Every Door. However, my problem with Lock Every Door was that I thought the main character was just dumb, and the same happens in Survive the Night, so you know, that's why. Next we have Raybearer, and collectively Redemptor. I actually did not finish Redemptor, which is the sequel to Raybearer. I got like, I don't know, I want to say 75% into this book before I put it down because I just wasn't enjoying it, which is a bummer because I really did enjoy Raybearer. So this follows a young girl who is basically sent by her mother to go kill this guy who she is supposed to protect, because in this inner circle that she is sent to go join, their mission is to like protect the prince figure. It was good. I really liked it. I thought it was really immersive. If it was a little bit confusing, like some of the world building elements were my favorite in this one, but I decided to give Redemptor a chance anyways, and my problem with Redemptor was I just couldn't get through it. Like, I just didn't see the same interest level in this book as I did in the first book. I thought it dragged, like it really, really dragged. Raybearer was exciting and things were constantly happening, and then I feel like in Redemptor nothing was really going on and we were kind of moving at a snail's pace, so I just decided to ultimately put it down, which was disappointing. But I did really like Raybearer. I didn't love it, like it wasn't like an all-time favorite for me, so it makes sense that I didn't absolutely love Redemptor. But if you're looking for a YA fantasy series that is more slow-paced, I think you would enjoy this. And it also does have some really great characters. I did really feel for them and their actions and their inner monologues, but like at the end of the day, I just didn't love this, and I'm a little bit bummed that it didn't do what I wanted it to do for me. Next, we have an absolutely beautiful book. This is one of my favorite books that I've read in 2021 so far, and I think that this will be one of my favorite books of all time. I definitely will reread this. I read Set Fire to the Gods, as well as its sequel, Rise Up from the Embers, which was a little bit weaker in my opinion. I didn't like it as much as this first installment, but this is pitched as Avatar: The Last Airbender meets Gladiator. I love this book. I loved it. You should go read it. The next book I read was The Memory Thief. I don't remember it. I gave it 3.5 stars. I also read We Hunt the Flame, which was, oh, I have a bookmark in here still, oopsie. This one was disappointing because I really wanted to love it, but this one follows a girl named Ciera who goes to steal a magical artifact. She also dresses as a man to like disguise herself because she's doing like something that is seen like as what only a man can do. So like I did really like it for that part, but I just didn't care for the romance in this one. I was really disappointed in it because I thought that I would love it. It had all the tropes that I generally love in books, but it just did not deliver for me, unfortunately. I also read It Happened One Summer, which follows Piper, who is sort of like a preppy girl. Like, she's an influencer. She is portrayed as a certain way and seen as a certain way by society, and because she is just kind of not a hard worker, I guess is what I would describe her as. Like, her dad doesn't see her, or her stepdad doesn't see her as someone who really knows how to live and knows how to take care of herself. He sends her to her original dad's like hometown to go repair a bar to kind of prove that she's worthy of all this money that he's giving her. Piper meets a mysterious fisherman and they fall in love, basically, is the story of this book. And I did really like it. I also did read Hook, Line, and Sinker, which I guess I can talk about now. And I also did talk about this one in a vlog. I did not like this one, I guess, as much as Hook, Line, and Sinker, but they kind of were in the same vein for me because Hook, Line, and Sinker follows Piper's sister, Hannah, and her love story with one of the fishermen. So I liked it. I thought the atmosphere was really fun. I thought the characters were great. My only thing was I didn't love the love interest in It Happened One Summer that much. I thought he was a little bit too much of like a manly man, and like he had like a lot of pride towards certain things, and I didn't like how he acted in certain situations. But I know some people do like characters like that. It was good. It had me invested. I read it really quickly and it definitely got me in a romance mood, which is what I needed. After that, I did read A Lesson in Vengeance, which is a young adult sort of dark academia book where this girl basically has to find out what happened to her ex-girlfriend. She's convinced that like something bad with witches happened to her, and I feel like the less you know about this book the better, but I still don't really know what happened in this book. Like, I wanted to love it so bad. The writing itself was good. I liked the writing. I'm pretty sure this is a debut too, so like kudos to you, Victoria Lee. I didn't love the plot. Like, the plot was a little bit messy. I thought the concept was not really fully developed, and that was very well evident. I feel like this book was trying to say something that I just didn't grasp, which is maybe why I didn't love it as much as I wanted to. It was just kind of weird. Like, it was witchy, it was weird, it was interesting, like it pulled me in, but at the end of the day, I'm not sure what this book was trying to do. I also read Awakened, which I talked about in another reading vlog, so I'll direct you to that because I'm gonna have more coherent thoughts in that video because I don't really have any coherent thoughts right now. I don't know why I decided to sit down and film a video. Awakened was pitched as like Hush Hush meets The Vampire Diaries. I skim read it, it was bad, I gave it 1 star. Blocked it out of my memory. Also read The Love Hypothesis, which follows Olive and Adam, my babies. I love The Love Hypothesis. This honestly might be one of my favorite books of the year as well. This one is a cute little romance between a PhD student and a professor at her school, but it's like, it's fine. Like, it's explained in a way that is fine. And I just really loved it. It's Raylo fan fiction, so if that's something that interests you, I think you should also pick it up because it definitely delivers on that. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. I also read The Dating Playbook by Farah Rochon, and this book was okay. I gave it a 2-star. It's a sports romance, which isn't really my thing, but I don't think it was like the fact that it was a sports romance why I didn't like it. It was just kind of not interesting. I didn't really care about the two characters and I didn't really feel their chemistry. They kept saying they were like interested in each other, but then like they wouldn't do anything about it, and then also when they were together it was just kind of like, I don't really care about you guys together. Also feel like the story just tried to do too much at the same time, which was just distracting, and it didn't really help progress the romance forward. I feel like if it was taken down a notch and like not too many things were focused on and the romance was instead like more of a focus, then it would have been better. And I feel like this was a problem that a lot of people had with the first book in the series. I totally get that, why people would think that the first book was tackling too much, because it was sort of a mystery slash romance, which is not something you see very often. I just found the mystery side really interesting, so I wasn't really caring about how much time was dedicated to the mystery instead of the romance, but with this book in particular, I just feel like the romance should have been focused on a little bit more. I also read I Think I Love You, which is a YA contemporary book, and this one follows a girl named Emma and a girl named Sophia, and Emma is this romance lover. She loves rom-coms, and she's also bisexual, and she wants the chance to see her own kind of love portrayed on the screen because she feels like there's not enough bisexual representation in media. So there's this opportunity for her to create a short film where she can basically do whatever she wants. She can enter it and maybe win a scholarship. So she decides that she wants to do a bi rom-com. And there's also her arch nemesis, Sophia, who's not really like her arch nemesis. They basically have to work together on this movie for it to go well, and Emma and Sophia now think that the other one has a crush on them, even though neither of them have feelings for each other because of ideas that their friends planted in their head. I thought it was okay. Like, I think the idea is cute, but YA contemporary is very much not my thing. I don't reach for it often. I definitely have not read very many YA contemporaries in the last year or two, and I just think that this wasn't probably the best YA contemporary for me to read because the writing was just not great. It felt like there was a lot of immature moments. Like, I know these are children. I know these are not grown adults. And I know that they're going to act irrationally and immaturely, but some of the things just felt very outlandish in this book in particular, and so I didn't love that. I just don't think I'll be picking up more by this author because I just didn't like how the story was told. And we have made it to the very end. We're on the last book that I've read, which is Ashlords, and this is another book that I think is definitely my favorite out of all the books that I've talked about today. Definitely this one and this one are my favorites. So if you're a YA fantasy reader like myself, I definitely recommend these two to you. But Ashlords is about these Phoenix writers who basically compete in a race together. Ashlords has that dystopian feel to it. I think if you like Scythe by Neil Shusterman or if you like The Hunger Games, you will definitely fall in love with this book series. It's got the competition element to it. It's got great characters. It does have a weird second person POV, which you do not see very often in literature, at least not in the books that I read. And I thought that it was actually very effective because at first it annoyed the crap out of me. I did not want to hear about this girl in second character, but once I got used to it, I was just kind of like, okay, so I see what you're trying to do here. You're trying to like put me in the mindset of this racer, and it's actually making me more excited about these chapters and knowing what her motivations are, because those motivations are actually my motivations. That sounds crazy. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone, but it just made me feel like I was in the story, and it made me feel like I was one of the racers inside the races. So basically, Ashlords are the upper class, and they have these races where they ride these phoenixes, and they have these things called rebirths where the phoenix actually dies because it's not exposed to sunlight, and it'll be reborn, and you can use alchemy to have them have different abilities or have like stronger powers and stuff like that. So it's about not only being a good phoenix rider, but also about being a smart alchemist. So you're following 3 different perspectives in this book. You're following Pippa, who's the second person point of view that I was talking about. You're also following an alchemist, and you're also following the son of this kind of warlord who's trying to start a war in this world. So that's what kind of gives me the dystopian vibes. It's very much giving Divergent, but like in the best way. I love this book. I'm currently reading the sequel, but I might come back to it a later time because I'm just like not feeling it right now, but that's besides the point. I'm just not feeling like reading right now at all, and I need help with that. If you have any book recommendations for me, let me know them in the comments below. I would really appreciate that. Let me know if you've read any of these books that I talked about today and what you think of them. Thank you so much for watching. If you got through this miserable piece of garbage, I really do appreciate you. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it and subscribe to my channel down below. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, y'all. I don't know why I kissed the camera. I'm gonna kiss the camera. Goodbye.